Hello, and welcome back to another Northwood Tales Spoopy podcast.
With, again, special guest.
If you could see her.
Little babe. They can probably see her in the corner. Yes.
She won't leave us.
We'll see. Maybe she'll get spooked. Maybe she'll get spooked by the spoopy story.
Spoopy.
So,
What spoopy? What spoopies?
Yes.
Tell us the spoopies.
This one is another local legend that's super close to us.
No.
It's located in, north of Shakopee. In between Chanhassen and Chaska, Minnesota.
I'm about to say we're north of Shakopee.
It's probably like
Chan.
less than a 20-minute drive from us. So
I work 15 minutes from us. In Chaska.
It's close to you, but like south, I think.
What? What is it?
So, today we're going to be talking about a sanatorium that was supposedly an insane asylum.
Oh, spoopy.
Spoopy.
Oh, I don't like this.
So, it was the Mudcura Sanitarium. And I'll talk about that later. But it's also known as Hell House to some people, according to this local legend about the insane asylum.
What happened?
If that gives anything away about the spoopy story.
Oh, I don't like this.
So just to give a brief, she's gonna fall off. She's gonna be like, "Nope, I'm out. I'm gonna yeet myself out of here." Ooh, she's stuck. So just to give like a brief. Well, I don't know if it's going to be brief, but a history about the Mudcura Sanitarium. In 1908, a Canadian doctor, Henry Fisher, purchased the land that is now known as Seminary Fen. And I'll go into a little bit of backstory of why it's called Seminary Fen. And he bought it to create a health spa on top of it.
I don't trust that.
This is a location between the cities of Chaska and Chanhassen, which is really close to us, and just across the river from Shakopee, which, if you are from the Minneapolis area, Shakopee is home to Valley Fair.
And flooding.
Unimportant, but yes. Yeah, because it's right by the river. And Henry enlisted the help of his kind of enterprise connections that he had and created the Shakopee Mineral Springs Corporation or Company. Is that what co is?
Yes.
Corporation, company, either
both.
Or. I think it's corporation.
It's both now.
Yes. What made the land so great is that it was home to like a large sulfur spring.
Ew.
Yeah.
Here?
But it would stink. Yes, it's still there. He hasn't destroyed the area. It's probably stinky, but there's a lot of benefits to sulfur. And there's 3 active sulfur springs there. One's a freshwater spring, one's an iron spring, and I don't know what the third one was. Didn't specify. And Heidi is the education director of the Carver County Historical Society, which this is part of the Carver County. And she said there were several ways that you could be treated there, including heated mud wraps.
That's very nice.
Imbibing the sulfur water that bubbled up from the springs. I'm not sure what imbibing is. Or even just taking long walks in the open air supposedly was good for your health or like beneficial, even though it stinks.
I found the definition of imbib.
Yes.
Is a verb.
Mm-hmm.
Well, pretty much to drink alcohol. They were imbibing far too many pitchers of beer. Quotes.
Oh, so they were just drinking sulfur water.
Oh, gross.
I wonder what that would taste like.
Nasty.
You think it would be like salty? Sulfur,
Nasty.
Sulfur smells like eggs.
Probably very bitter.
You'd be drinking eggs.
I don't
Stinky
like
eggs.
that. I pass.
Oh, so this part makes a little bit more sense to me.
Oh,
Shakopee
no.
Mineral Springs, basically the parent company of Fisher's Health Spa, which is the Mudcura they simply sold sulfur water for people to drink as a cure for everything from arthritis to alcoholism. So that makes more sense why you'd go there and you'd buy the sulfur water. You could sit in the mud baths because the sulfur,
I get the mud bath. Mud. Yep. I 1,000% get the mud, but not the...
I wouldn't want to do that.
This isn't Iceland. We not go swimming in the lagoon. Mm-hmm. I pass.
Yeah, pass in the water. I think it'd be fun to take a mud bath there.
Yes.
And prior to it being named Mudcura, the health spa operated under the name Swastika Sulphur Springs. The swastika was originally a symbol that meant power, strength, and good luck.
Yes.
And the name was changed to Mudcura Sanitarium long before the swastika was adopted as the symbol of the Nazi regime.
Much better.
During World War II.
I don't need no Nazis.
This was prior. Yeah. So this was prior to that, and they wanted it to be like a good, like a normal spa. Yeah. They wanted it to be like a health spa, which obviously, so that would obviously
come get yourself a water. Sip, sip.
Yep. And then in November of 1908, construction began on the sanatorium, and the site officially opened July of 1909. Oh. The only thing left behind of the earlier name of the swastika was a decorative swastika. Am I saying swastika? I feel like I'm saying swastika a little weird. Swastika.
Well, it depends on where you're from.
I guess so.
But they want to make a pretty one? They're like, this
they had a
symbol. Too ugly.
Yeah, they had a symbol on the main office, which they never got rid of or changed. But they changed the name. So.
Is this building still here?
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yes. Oh. You're jumping the gun.
Oh, no.
The name Mudcura came from the mud baths and the mud wraps that were thought to cure disease, and that's the name they've decided on.
I wonder what that would do to your teeth.
You're not drinking them. Oh, the sulfur in general. I'm like, you're not drinking the mud. But yeah, I don't know what the sulfur would do. I mean, they put different ingredients in our water nowadays.
Is it
fluoride.
Acidic?
I don't think so. I'm sure it has. I'm not sure if it's acidic or in the middle.
It's just nasty.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Who would think to do that? The Mudcura Sanitarium remained operational until 1951.
Oh.
And then it was sold to members of the Black Franciscans? Franciscans? I think that's right. For use as a seminary. And a seminary is a college that prepares students to be priests, ministers, and rabbis.
Wow.
And the Black Franciscans are part of the order of Friars Minor, which is a part of the Catholic Church.
Oh, my.
So they're similar to monks.
Got a lot going on at that place.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, they're similar to monks, but they kind of are more active in the community, whereas monks, they kind of keep to themselves. But these guys are a little bit more of like activists in a way.
Come to the sanatorium. We give you mud masks to turn you into monks.
Well, this was after they gave it away to them or sold it. Monks. I don't know if they sold it or gave it away. Sold it, yes. And it was named Assumption Seminary.
What?
And was associated with the colleges of St. Thomas and St. Catherine and St. Paul, which those colleges are still around.
We competed at St. Thomas for track. Mm-hmm. Oh, they're all connected.
And then although the cemetery closed its doors in 1970, the fen still bears its name. So it's the Assumption Seminary Fen, I think, or the Seminary Fen, like I said earlier. That's what the plot of land is called there. Yep.
Oh. Small brain.
Yes. After the Franciscans' departure in the 1970s, the land was bought and sold a number of times, but remained vacant. And then rumors rose in the surrounding communities that the abandoned buildings were haunted. So this is where the rumor of the insane asylum. I keep saying asylum. Asylum came in.
Oh, no.
After the rumors started, the building was dubbed Hell House. People would report hearing music coming from the building, and that was later debunked. Supposedly the pipes were occasionally echoing transmissions from a nearby radio tower.
That's awfully
giving the
convenient.
illusion that the eerie music was playing from the inside, which is still kind of spooky, how, like, empty pipes would be able to reverb.
I get it, but, like, that's awfully convenient.
Yeah.
Would someone just like listen to the radio and then drive by and be like, oh, that's the same song?
Right. I'm wondering how loud it was. Like if people were exploring the building and they heard it when they weren't supposed to be trespassing. Or if they were driving by and they heard it, because that'd be weird to hear it from the highway.
If you're just walking home one night and it's just like this creepy building playing music, I'd run.
I would too. And then in late 1997, there was a fire that destroyed a large chunk of the building. It was supposedly started by some kids, so arson.
Nasty kids.
It had burned through the roof and the floor below. So I think there's 3 floors, so the 3rd floor in the roof. I don't know if there's some pictures here where there's quite a bit of damage to the top part. But it's still standing, I believe, as of today, but it's still pretty damaged. But I don't know who owns it, but they have no trespassing signs, so it probably wouldn't be recommended to go inside there. But it would be nice to go take a look, just as the outside, just to kind of see it.
Stop arson.
The Minnesota Department of Nature Resources, also known as, like, DNR, became interested in the property in the years following the fire, and in 2003 purchased the 106 acres of fen for $1.3 million. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Wish I had that kind of money.
And thanks to the DNR's efforts to protect it, the seminary fen has been awarded a status of scientific and natural area, which prevents any development or drainage of the fen, allowing it to be preserved for scientific study and enjoyment of the community. So it's still open.
What?
Yeah.
Scientific study and what do you say? Enjoyment of the community?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's like a nature preserve basically.
This spooky
maybe they tore it down. We can always do a drive-by just to see.
Because
it's on top of that land.
Spooky building, I wouldn't find any enjoyment in that. And why would you want it a scientific study?
Well, just because I don't know if the sulfur springs is what they'd be studying.
I've never, in the 2 years that we've lived here, working for the university, have not heard anything about this place. Conspiracy.
Well, maybe they're studying
ghosts. The Illuminati is there.
Maybe they're studying ghosts.
That'd
be a good thing to go take a look at to see if they did tear it down, because I don't know if they said. I know there was the fire, but I don't remember I don't remember seeing anything about them tearing it down. But I know the DNR, like the state of Minnesota, owns the area now, and they're protecting the springs so nobody can kind of use it, build on top of it again. So they're kind of keeping it for the community and science.
If they're gonna keep it for the community and science, might as well learn how to turn that into like a natural energy, not.
Can you do that with springs?
Don't know. Maybe.
They're going to try to do the bottling of the sulfur water again and sell it.
Are you not feeling good? Here's some sulfur water.
All the holistic medicine people will be like, yes, this is straight from...
You got a headache? Take some sulfur water.
Yes, straight from the springs in Shakopee.
Ew.
Okay, so now on to the paranormal. The supposed haunting.
Even more spoopy stuff.
It was rumored to be an asylum for the insane. So that's where the paranormal stuff comes in.
A ghost.
And I was able to find some information on a haunting investigation that was done at Mudcura in 1997. So this was right before that fire happened. The same year. And the investigation was done by PSI Walker Inc., which I don't know if he owns it, but Del Mulroy, he was the president. I haven't found a lot of research in the group because this was back in the 90s. But Del was a psychic and a paranormal investigator.
Oh, boy.
And we're going to get into this, but I'll link everything down below if you guys are watching and listening on YouTube. There's going to be a link in the description if you want to read the whole investigation. I kind of cut it down just because it gets really lengthy. And he kind of goes into his accounts. This is his point of view of what happened. And we're going to start with the first bit here. And this is in Del's words. We were notified over the last 2 years of this building by as many as 12 separate contacts who all lived in different surrounding cities in the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro area. They all had a story that was very close. The story being that Hell House was a former Minnesota-run insane asylum from the early 1900s until 1979, when a catastrophic fire killed 12 people inside. So not only was there this fire that came after this investigation, there was supposedly one that came before it.
2 fires?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my.
And the thing is, in 1908, this is when it was the health spa until the 50s.
Oh, no.
And then it was owned by the Catholic Church, basically. So what they're saying is... Well, they're saying it was between then and 1979, which they sold it in the 70s, so maybe within 10 years there could have been some asylum that was... because it was bought and sold a couple of times. But before then, it wouldn't make sense because it would have been the health spa unless they were doing weird things.
Oh, no.
Or the Catholic Church, which that wouldn't make any sense really, though. Because they were like monk kind of... And they were like monk kind of a seminary, so I don't think it would have anything to do... Or it wouldn't even look like an asylum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't find any hard evidence of maybe if the building was owned by somebody and they made it an insane asylum. So it could just be rumors. And then there's different photos here, like this one, where they're kind of laying in the beds, and I think those are mud wraps that they're doing. So maybe people saw like old pictures too and got the wrong idea, and they're like, oh, this looks like an asylum. Because, you know, they would wrap them in
the little...
Mm-hmm. And they would do different things. And they had... I'm pretty sure they had like tubs and stuff because if you're doing like a mud bath. Mm-hmm. So maybe people saw these old photos and were like, oh, this sanatorium was an asylum. So maybe that's how the rumors started with that.
It's so easy to start rumors.
Right. And then in August of 1997, Dell asked multiple people for an interview, but no one responded to him. He got no response from anybody. And then I think he went out of town and then came back, and then this is his next excerpt from his investigation report. Upon resuming the investigation again, I was contacted by a good friend who said that he had been to the building and himself had seen a rock launch from the floor about 6 feet in front of them, down the hallway, hitting the wall on the other side and bouncing back, stopping in front of his feet. He had also heard what he thought to be faint voices in the basement area and also felt he was being followed throughout the entire property. He advised it would be a great investigation. So, this is from a good friend of his.
Someone throwing rocks,
right? Because
it could the hallway.
It could be chalked up to like it could have just like fallen because it's an old building.
Yeah.
And kids probably could have snuck in there because he also reports later on seeing graffiti and stuff like that. So maybe kids were like messing around in the lower levels, and he just didn't see them. And maybe that's why he felt eyes on him. Maybe it was like other people that were exploring too, but he just didn't
when
see
him when you're in an area where you start to think that there's ghosts, then like your body reacts in the way that it would if it's being a ghost.
And if there was other people there, maybe they didn't want to get seen either, so maybe they were kind of being sneaky and he didn't see him. He just like felt, when you feel someone's eyes on you.
Yeah.
That could be it too. Or
it's an actual ghost throwing rocks.
Yes. Or it could be a ghost.
A ghost.
A ghost.
It's one of the patients. He was sick of the sulfur water. He's like, screw this place.
This was supposed to cure me and heal me. It's not doing anything.
Instead, I just smell nasty. Oh, no.
And then Dell goes on to say, I was told that they were returning to the site that evening and asked if I would be willing to go along. And I elected to do so. And Dell brought with him a handful of different things for his investigation. 2 disposable cameras, both with 27 exposures on them. With flash units, and he purchased them from 2 different locations, 2 different stores.
That's smart.
Mm-hmm. So he's not
dumb.
What
he doing?
I'm not sure if I believe his psychic ability and stuff, because there was like other articles I found that were like questioning him, but it's all like who knows who's right and stuff like that. Maybe the other guy had a vendetta. I have no idea. He also had he could be
of his spoopy senses.
Maybe. He also had a USAF issued compass to record any possible magnetic phenomena.
Interesting. Is it like an EMF reader where it...
Kind of like that, but it measures the magnetic field.
Interesting.
Yeah. He also brought a portable electronic thermometer with a probe that gives an instant temperature reading, which a lot of people nowadays do that too. Because usually when you go ghost hunting, there's kind of like those dead spots or the cold spots.
Cold. Mm-hmm. But it's Minnesota, so it's always cold.
Right. But he brought that with him. And lastly, he brought a tape recorder to record the entire trip through the building. And I think he also brought an EVP reader too, which I didn't have listed, but he brings that as well. Just try to see if he has any other audio besides the recording. He goes on to say, I was told by the friend and another person with him that the property was completely abandoned and that the former caretaker had moved from the property recently. So this would indicate that they shouldn't hear anybody if no one's there. But again, kids could be sneaking around, other people interested in kind of what's going on. At the time of the investigation, we arrived at dusk. Temperature was about 80 degrees, and there was a very high humidity level caused from the rain previous. It had been raining. I should have proofreaded this before. Previous 2 days straight, it had been raining. So that's why the humidity came from.
He a ghost hunter, but he can't rain.
There was no wind at all and no clouds or other weather phenomenon present. We ventured into the building. We examined the entire entrance area and then traveled into the basement. We noticed a white mud in the hallway and the stairs that would go to the basement. And that was the sulfur mud from the springs.
It's that damn sulfur.
Yeah. And I think he goes on in the report saying, like, at first they were like, what is this? And then they realized it was from the springs. So nothing ghostly about that. In the basement, we traveled to a large area that represented a possible kitchen area with a laundry room and another room to the side, and a room with large steel tubs laying on their side.
Mud bath.
That could be. And another room next to the boiler. It was this area that we heard what appeared to be faint voices. In most investigations, we would leave the tape recorder behind to capture possible EVP. We made the decision not to do so based on the size of the investigation area and limited time we had available to do so. We continued to listen to the sounds, and they appeared to be the faintest of shouting. So it's not like just talking. It sounds like it's kind of aggressive, like yelling, maybe. Or like shouting could be angry. It could be frightened.
Well, we're dealing with the same building that was supposedly connected through pipelines to a radio station. So
that's a good point. I didn't think about that when I was reading this. So he could
What if someone was arguing with like their boss at the radio station? They're just like chilling in this.
Somehow they could hear maybe even like just the talking at the radio station that they were broadcasting.
What if you heard secrets?
That would be like, kind of. I shouldn't have heard that.
Yeah.
At one point, a friend of mine mentioned that he thought the sounds that were broken at times resembled choking or coughing. At this time, we perceived that this may be the place that some of the people had died in the structure.
What if they just witnessed a murder at the radio station? Right. Oh,
that would be so bad.
Oh, no.
Okay, but if they did hear choking or coughing and it was supernatural or ghostly, they kind of make sense because there was supposedly a fire that happened prior to the fire that's going to happen in a few months.
Who's that? Garrett, YouTuber. He had a ghost story where he was at like this house that his dad owned or something, and is that Cersei snoring?
Yeah, she's snoring.
Wow. Our cat is the loudest snorer
she's not waking
ever.
Anywho.
To the fast forward version of this story that I'm trying to tell, he heard coughing in this house and no one was in there. So that is a valid experience.
Yeah.
Or it's a murder at the radio station.
That would be even more terrifying, I would think.
Okay, what's next?
So Dell goes on to say, we continued into another room in the basement that had birds and its fair share of bats. Most of the rooms in the building that we had seen so far were vandalized with spray-painted graffiti. So there has been, like, vandalism and people down there. So that makes sense. Either they heard radio station noise and stuff like that, yes. Or it could be actual kids, or ghosts.
Or ghosts. Energy. Mm-hmm. Leftover energy. Can't get rid of it.
We then headed for the stairs again. We stopped in a small room, and the stairs were located in, and noticed another odd sight. The tiles on the wall and the floor were curled from heat. Some had clearly melted. The floor above showed stains of heat above, and we would find this is where the fire originated from on the first floor. But why the heat damage in the basement when no flames were present? And again, this is before the 1997 fire. This is like a couple months before the one that was reported everywhere else.
The secret one?
No.
Oh.
The one he's talking about now that he's seeing is the secret one that no one really talked about beforehand.
Which is unique, because why wouldn't they try to fix it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The owners of the building, maybe they didn't care. They just wanted the sulfur land. The sulfur springs, that's all they wanted.
Sulfur juice.
That's all they wanted.
Ew.
On the first floor, we stood near the site of the fires originated, and we could see the stars in the night sky through the 2 floors above and the roof which the fire had eaten through. So that's also very strange, because this is still before the other fire that, again, burns the top floor and the roof. Weird.
I'm sniffing out a conspiracy.
Mm-hmm. But this was sneaky. Before, because at the end of his investigation, he states that he heard, or someone did a drive-by, and they reported that more of it had burned down. So.
In the sneaky fire?
No, in the official fire.
Oh, weird.
This is a couple months before the official fire that everyone was talking about, that it was arson.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. On the second floor, we were greeted with more bats and some hidden dangers. The 20 to 25 foot wide hole in the floor.
What?
From the fire. The secret fire. I'm assuming, or...
An explosion.
Or, like, water damage.
Oh.
Could have broken it, too.
That's no fun.
Could be plenty of things. The fire burned between the first and the second floor so fast in a chimney effect that a lot of the wood between the floor was not touched by the fire. And I'm not really familiar with the chimney effect.
We're just going straight up and it bypasses everything else.
Yeah, it just burns so fast, maybe, or so
there's so much power.
Maybe, something like that. The upright wall frames were hardly damaged either in this fire. We continued to the third floor. We carefully navigated to a door and stepped out onto the steel mesh walkway that went from one door of the wing to another. We entered into the second wing, third floor. Notice with the exception of missing windows and paintings from vandals, this building was not much changed from the last days of its occupancy. So it still had a lot of, 50s and 70s things possibly, because 50s, again, was the end of the health spa. And then the 70s, the 70s was the seminary, seminary. So
but
the
between
the Catholic
that time
Church
could have been the spoopies.
It sounds, they sold the health spa, though, right after. So in the 50s they sold it, and then for 20 years the Catholic Church had it for the seminary, and then
it was
repeatedly sold after. But it doesn't specify who bought it. Yeah. That I couldn't find. We examined the entire second wing and then traveled back to the third floor. We were crossing the mesh walkway again with no railings, some 35 to 40 feet above the ground when something blew past me. It was not seen, only felt. It felt that this was more than one spiritual entity. And it could be a bat.
I feel like you'd feel the of the wings, but
right?
It's still
but maybe he just decided not to say that.
He's really looking for ghosts.
Yeah, not trying to discredit him, but that is a possibility.
It's not feeling like a good old ghost story, though.
No. After that, he goes on to say he was in awe at how fast they flew at his chest level between him and his friends. It felt that they had stopped in front of us, like he could sense a spirit. I neglected to check any other equipment, but brought up the camera instead and fired a photo at the 2 windows immediately to the left of the walkway where they were going.
Spooky.
As the picture was fired, I could see that the flash unit on the camera had illuminated several orbs of light in the viewfinder.
Ooh.
When the film came back, we saw this image, which they didn't have any of the images listed on his report. Convenient. But he says that there's a total of 5 orbs of light. 4 of them are clearly visible. 1 orb, which did not appear on the film due to the way it was cut during process on the negative. So I don't know if he had the negative to verify that there was 5, and then the print cut it. That I'm not sure of. But the article did not have any pictures, and I don't know why. It just had like the brackets that said image.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if there was an external link that got deleted.
Oh.
So if any of you guys are tech savvy and you go and read this investigation, maybe you can figure out a way to uncover the images, because I have no idea.
Homework.
We continued back into the first wing on the 3rd floor. We noticed a drop in temperature of 16 degrees in this room, which with many windows was not unexpected.
What time of year did he go here?
August. So it's still getting chilly.
Yeah.
But he also credits this drop could be all the windows.
Yeah.
So he's not saying that it is a cold spot due to like spiritual energy. Which is kind of nice, because he's not automatically just being like, ghost.
It's a ghost.
We turned to go back to the stairs and make our descent into the 2nd floor again when I stopped dead in my tracks. I felt something approaching me with speed from the other side of the hole in the floor.
They rushing him.
Yeah.
They looking for that sulfur water.
When I felt something that was of a spiritual entity, it was in range of the... in range, he pulled out his small camera again and snapped a photo with... This is the 2nd camera. So he took the original images with the first one, and now he's doing this with the 2nd one. And he says this is to eliminate the possibility of flaws in both camera, film, and the developing process, which is really smart.
Yeah.
We proceeded to leave the building and noted the total time inside had been 42 minutes. They didn't have any EVP readings, nothing found on the tape, but they did have the photos with the orbs in them. So that was kind of the only evidence that he had was the orbs, which could be dust spots.
Yeah, depending on who you talk to, it's either just dust or just that little fraction of light that hits it, or it's a ghost.
Or it's in the development of the film, because that can show up if during when they're doing it. Dust spots can physical dust spots can actually show up. So that's there's a couple different things that could discredit that. And then in October, so this was in August, and then in October, in 1997, Dell realized that he may never hear a documented history of the building and close the investigation. But he finally managed to speak to a former police officer who patrolled in the area, who now lives in Hopkins, but this is back in 97.
Oh.
So still in the cities.
Yeah.
The officer said that the insane asylum was just a local legend, but Dell still is pretty adamant that there could be some truth behind that legend. So.
I guess it depends on if there's anything super negative.
And he doesn't say anything about feeling any certain way. He's just more so like, oh, I felt this whooshing, this movement.
Yeah.
No gut feeling.
Yeah.
That he mentions, but I just pulled up the article here, but you can see in the it's just bracket image. And it just says image, so I couldn't find a way, and this is groups.google.com, and then it's kind of like almost like a thread is how they did it, and it was he posted this November 30th of 1997. That's when he posted the report. He did this in August. And then he posted this on the 30th, but at the very end...
Of August?
No, of November.
Oh, so okay, he had a couple months.
So a couple of months. And at the end of this report, he said that Saturday, November 9th, 1997, a passing motorist on Highway 212 called the Chanhassen the fire department, and reported that part of the building was engulfed in flames. So
is this the official fight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm like,
so they were in the building. August, September, October, November, like 3 months prior.
Wow.
Maybe 2.5, 3 months prior to the official fire. So that's interesting that there was a fire before that nobody mentioned, that he knew because he went in there. He investigated it. And I don't know if he got any permits to do this. It doesn't sound like he did. It sounds like his buddy's just like, hey, we were here.
Yeah.
Let's go back in and do
Maybe
it again. The property owner isn't here.
Maybe his buddy knows someone.
Maybe.
Again, be respectful.
Yes.
You're going to go explore. You be respectful.
Get permission. This is going to be a continuous thing, I have a feeling, when we're talking about stuff like this.
I don't want to see you in jail. Stop it.
And you don't want to be the one accused of arson if it happens.
Right? Can you imagine? Yeah. It happens, you go to explore, and it's your fingerprints on the building.
Right? Something you left behind, a paper, your ID fell out of your pocket.
And then you're in jail.
Then you're in jail.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. His take on it and his investigation, and the lack of pictures, yeah, that kind of show up.
What I find interesting is it's labeled as Hell House, but so far the only thing we got is some bats, some nasty sulfur water, and some possible sounds that could have been from the radio station.
Yeah.
So not like a demon in the window.
Right? Yeah, you know? No one saw any like things in the window.
I like when you hear Hell House, you actually think like, okay, there's a demon here. Like someone summoned a demon with the little Ouija board, did some things, and he's just chilling there.
Or when people report that they have scratches.
Yes.
And they come out of the...
Or bruises. You know, I don't know if it's deemed worthy of the name Hell House.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be the one to test that.
Right. Well, especially since it was a health spa.
Yeah.
And that's pretty credible.
Maybe that's why they summoned a demon, and he just really likes the spa aspect. So he's like super chill.
He just wants to stay there.
He likes the sulfur water. Ew. Oh, it's just a full circle of sulfur water each topic.
Yeah, that's the main thing. And there's a lot of reports of people that go there and kind of walk around. They still get a good feeling from the area.
Okay.
Like the nature aspect portion of it. But I think it'd be fun to take it's literally probably like 15 minutes away from us. We could do a drive-by just to see if the building's still there. And we could even walk on the designated grounds area if it is like a nature thing. Maybe they have a nature path
to the community.
And then that way we can get footage and post it on here for you guys to take a look at.
So you can actually see what we're doing.
Just to see. We can show you guys.
We can see if there's a demon in the window.
Right?
We'll ask for some sulfur water.
Yes, pretty pictures of sulfur springs for you guys.
It'll
Aesthetic.
be like Yellowstone.
Yes. Yellowstone in Minnesota.
Oh, boy.
Not Wyoming.
We're after your brand, Yellowstone. With our sulfur water. Come get y'all's juice.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything else about Dell either. There was a guy that posted some stuff about I think he had an argument with Dell and like his credibility or something like that. But and then that guy wrote one article or one thing, like one post on some other forum or his webpage. But that's the only thing I found. I didn't find this guy's like PSI Walker company. The only real article was him, like this one. And then there's also like not a news reporter, a radio host by the same name, Del Mulroy. Del R. Mulroy. Totally different people though, because the timelines didn't line up.
I feel like there would also be more stories, like local stories,
if it was the radio guy, who's also a psychic. And a paranormal investigation person. So
you'd think you'd see Care 11 over there, or was it Channel 5?
Yeah,
out there with their cameras.
So I think this one comes down to it again being a local legend.
Yeah. Unless we go there and we see a demon in the window.
Right. Yeah. We don't have any EVPs. We have really nothing to actually investigate. We can do like recordings on our phones just to see if we pick anything up, which is equally as good.
Some people
apparently
have picked up audio on their phones.
Yeah. That's also another thing that a lot of investigators do, paranormal investigators. So yeah, I would say this one is debunked. But it's pretty interesting.
To a point.
Yes, it's pretty interesting. Because there's many other asylums or sanatoriums that are for the mentally ill.
Yes.
That we will talk about in the future.
Oh,
but
no.
This one does, I want to say that this doesn't fall into that category. This is specifically that health spa.
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever an asylum there.
Unless there's a conspiracy with...
It was a cover-up. It wasn't a health spa. It was actually for the insane. But that could be too.
Yeah, maybe. It could be.
So let us know in the comments if you're watching this on YouTube again.
If you've been there, if you know anything, if you're from Carver County, let us know.
Mm-hmm. That would be really
fun time.
interesting. Yeah, to hear from the people that gave these reports.
Yeah.
The 12 different people in the Twin Cities area that gave the reports of that. I'm wondering if it was just
what did they see?
Right?
They all only
and they were pretty
the same thing.
Yes, they were really similar encounters. So I'm wondering if it was like a family local legend that was kind of passed down, or like whatever it could have been,
or just a very convenient ghost that always has the same physical appearance.
Yeah. Spoopy. It was not as spoopy, but it's kind of
confusing spoopy.
Conspiracy level spoopy.
Yeah.
Like, could it have? Could it not have?
The meter's not quite ding ding ding. It's like
yeah.
Nah. Like kind of over.
It's a meh. It's a meh from me.
It's a meh from me.
So thank you guys for tuning in and listening to this podcast.
Yeah.
And we won't see you next time. We'll
bring some sulfur water to the next one. We'll bring some
sulfur water next time.
Lord, okay.
Bye. Bye.